Oh, here we go.
Better than Lincoln Logs. That'll be a good album title. It's better than Lincoln Logs. All right. Looks like we are.
Okay.
Today's roundtable, well, just the three of us, is one-off albums and obscure albums, and it could be a combination of both, an obscure one-off album, whatever it is. I mean, and like I was saying off camera, it's like I had so many. It's like I had to pick and choose ones that really nailed it for me. Just something that I that I got. And I'm gonna start off with something a little more mainstream than what I have been posting, and it's Arcadia. So Red the Rose.
Okay.
This was a Duran Duran offshoot in 1985 that were taking a break, and the singer, keyboardist, and the drummer went and did this, and the guitar player and the bass player went and did Power Station.
Nice.
And I kind of call this a little more of an artsy version of Duran Duran, where the other stuff was more pop sounding. This one has a little more art rock going for it, and it's got a whole bunch of guests: Carlos Alomar, David Gilmour, Sting,
Wow.
Grace Jones, Herbie Hancock, and Andy McKay from Roxy Music. And they had a few music videos on it. And like I said, it was released in 1985, and then in 2010 they did a double one with extra bonus tracks on it. Actually, it's a two CD, one DVD, and it's really good. And it's like this was, in my opinion, was the way I wish Duran Duran went in that direction, because they have some longer songs, so I guess goes under the art rock banner. Still a little bit of that new wave flavor, but no, that's my first. Okay. I'll go to Alex.
Okay. My one, this thing plays in my head a lot. The band is called Etna, and it's a one-off fusion album these guys did. In the day, this is back in Italy. In that day, back in the middle 70s, fusion was extremely popular in Italy. These guys had been in a band called Flea on Honey.
Yeah.
And they were doing pretty much the straight ahead prog, but this one is just strictly fusion instrumental, and it's really good. Every tune just sticks in my head all the time. And it's available on Bandcamp now.
Oh, cool.
So it's been reissued, and the sound is pretty good. I really like that cover. That album cover, I think, is a great painting.
Oh yeah, I like when the bands have good artwork, because it kind of draws you in.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my first one. It all I can just tell you is that it is pretty much the straight ahead guitar based fusion with a couple of acoustic pieces, which was very common back in the day. Excuse me. Back in those days, even Herbie Hancock and Return to Forever would always do at least one acoustic piece on every album. So,
Right.
Okay.
All right, Mark.
Okay, well, my first one's behind me. I actually have it right here as well. I've got a couple copies of it because I had a CD release party for this band called Flicker from Aylesbury.
I remember them.
And that was a huge album for me. I interviewed them and everything. I thought I was so inspired by this album. I even flew to Aylesbury to see them play at a little pub called the Black Swan, which is no longer there. And I told them, if you put a show on, I will go see it. So they put the show on just for me, and there's just 6 of us there. So we had a great time, and we got a lot of photos there. It was Movember, I remember. I had a mustache at that, and they had these 3 amazing songs that I thought, and they were. It was funny because they're local fans like the other songs, of course, the more popular, the shorter songs. But they have a song in there called "Counting Time," which reminded me of Rapture, and they didn't hear that at all because it has a rap in the back third of it, and it reminds me of rap. And the guy's like, I don't hear it at all. And then later on, he's like, oh yeah, Rapture just came up on my list of on his random list. He's like, not only do I have the song, I hear it now. And they have an amazing song called Breathless with a flamenco guitar, and Out There, another amazing track. Everybody was comparing them to, boy, it sounds like Porcupine Tree. And the guy, Ellis, was a little bit miffed by that. He's like, I don't know who that is, and kind of like, and screw you. And we sound like us, So because they have no idea, didn't know what progressive rock was, So that was like this amazing thing for me. It's available on Bandcamp, and they do have progressive in their tags. I did notice, and I highly recommend that album. Check it out. It's for $7 on Bandcamp.
Yeah, I reviewed that CD. They sent me like a promo copy.
Yeah, I probably sent them your way.
Yeah, they're really good. Since then I kind of misplaced a lot of music when I moved.
Yeah,
but
they're kind of done. They had a little bit of a falling out. I think over Brexit of all things. I think one guy liked Brexit, and the other guys were like, "Are you kidding me?" So, but. Anyway, but it was a great show. I'm so happy that they put on a show. I got to see them live, and then I went 50 miles away and saw Landmark Fido and Manning on a show. So I got to see 2 shows that weekend. Yeah,
might as well get as much shows as you can, right?
Exactly.
All right, my second pick is a band called Hour of the Shipwreck, and it was released in 2008, and the title is The Hour is Upon Us. Now, they are basically a very dreamy orchestral rock band. I reviewed their CD back then, and I put just a basic tagline is, what if Danny Elfman fronted radio? And brought some of his orchestrations into Radiohead. I mean, that's basically it. And it's like I said, it's very dreamy. There's some aggressive parts, but not vocally. The vocals are just very soft. And I was very surprised when I got this CD to review it years ago. I looked at it at first, and I'm like going, I don't know what this is, and I listened to it, and it's like, it's really, really good. I mean, perfect. I think perfect music on like a rainy day.
Yeah.
All right. You're up, Alex.
Okay, my second one is Prague, and it's a band called Tail Q.
Oh yeah.
The title of the album is Voices Beyond the Curtain. And they're from Italy. They have their lyrics are in English. I think it was put out in 1994, 95, and this is the only album that they have out. And it's kind of moody, darky stuff.
Yeah.
It's for some reason it just caught my ear. I typically don't like the neo kind of stuff, but this isn't. I wouldn't call neo. It's definitely darker. It's not really metal, but there's some edge to it. And it's very nice. The ladies' vocals are very nice on it.
Oh yeah. I had that one back in the day. Really, I agree with you. It's not really neo.
No, but I wouldn't really call it metal or prog metal or anything like that. But there's a certain metal feel to it.
Yeah.
on the back picture, there's a picture of the band members, which I can't find, but you can see that they're definitely sort of into the, the darker outfits, and I
Right.
think some of that scene. And the thing that's interesting is this cover is very much like a hand painted thing.
Yeah.
It's very creative, but it's also very not really. It's like they didn't spend a lot of money on it. So, anyways, that's my second choice.
All right. Mark.
My second choice is behind me. It's Simon Says Tardigrade, and and by the way, my criterion for kind of unknown or less, they're all unknown bands, right? We're talking about the unknown bands of the unknown bands, right? And not playing a festival. You didn't play a festival. You're in the that's my own personal thing. So, but I kind of this one maybe I kind of went around that theory because they did play Slotson Goes Progressive, Sweden Goes Progressive, and which is their hometown. They're from Sweden, and the main guy passed away after the third album. This particular album, which I think is amazing. It really speaks to people like Peter Gabriel, Aerogenesis. I'm looking on Prog Archives, and it says also it certainly sounds a little bit like Engelgard and Foxbeard, Marillion, even Manfred Mann's. So that's kind of what they're just, it's for fans of those bands, I would say. They've got 2 epics on here, some amazing, interesting stuff, great sound effects. Sounds like the opening the opening sounds like an opening of a Twilight Zone episode, from the black and white era, the Twilight Zone. Just some really interesting sounds. And Louis Napster was at my house 3 weeks ago, and I had this on, and he was like, "What is this? I have to have it." And he went and bought it from Discogs immediately.
Oh,
That
that's
was
cool.
Louise?
Yeah, Nasser, yeah. He and I said, yeah, it's one of the bands I missed out on because I know they played that Sweden Goes Progressive, a free show in the park when the days are it's like right about now because the days are like 20 hours long in Sweden.
Yeah.
I remember it, and the festival goes to 3 o'clock. And it's still bright out, so 3 a.m. I should say. And anyhow, it's a great band for Peter Gabriel fans, and I think it needs to be heard more.
Yeah, I think I had that, or someone made me a copy of that back in the day,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it.
It gets pretty good reviews on progressive. Was it Prog Archives? Not like all 4 or 5 stars, but for the most part, it's people like it.
Cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
My next one is a band from Los Angeles, Moth Bellum.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I even bought that.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah. It has that blend of Genesis and Camel, to name a few. Very mellow sounding. And part of the group went on to do a band called Perfect Beans.
Yes.
And this one, I got it back in the day, 2008, and I was not a bad track on it. Very symphonic. I wouldn't put it in the class of Neo because it doesn't have, because it seems to be more extended. I noticed Neo tends to be more concise sounds. I mean, they still have like the progressive edge to it, but it's just not 100%. And this was their one and only. And when they morphed it, I guess Perfect Beans is an offshoot band, and I have one of their CDs, and they kind of sound a little like Ecstasy.
In what way? Instrumentation or
vocals and instrumentation?
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's they have one vocalist on this one.
Okay.
And they broke out and have a different vocalist. So it kind of reminds me of Ecstasy,
Okay.
like the the late '80s stuff, or basically after Larkin.
Right. I think I saw them live at Rosfest, if I remember correctly. They're a great band.
Yeah, they just disappeared. And this was such a good album that I was very surprised that they didn't do a follow up.
They never did, huh? It's too bad.
Oh, it kind of kept you wanting more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I found it on Bandcamp just searching for stuff.
Yeah, Bandcamp Fridays next Friday, so.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Except I won't be around.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, it's your turn.
My next one is a start of a bunch of bands from France. This one is called 1980.
Oh, cool.
It says explicit lyrics, but there's no lyrics on this. It's strictly instrumental. It's a post-rock, almost metal feel to it, but it's definitely got some experimentation. It's pretty much the trio standard, guitar, bass, and drums. But as you would expect, I think in France, there's a little more experimentation with it. It's definitely got an edge to it. I would suggest the first time listening to it low volumes first, and then see how you like it. But to me, it's every time I play it, they call it tech extreme prog metal.
So a core in there somewhere too. It seems like all the new genres have like core, like party core, metal core.
Right. So this one is there's definitely they're extremely talented players, and they can play anything. Sounds to me like they've been listening to Mahavishnu years ago. But I really got to like this quite a bit. But I'll be selective as to who I play it for. Louise, I have no problem with, but my wife, no way.
Right.
All right, you're up, Mark.
All right. So I got the Subterranean Masquerade behind me. It's a great album. Okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm like a lot of people in Prague. I do not like the harsh vocals, right? Okay. I actually don't like Opeth before Steven Wilson got involved, before Damnation. Okay. This album has Cookie Monster, harsh vocals, whatever you want to call it, and almost every track. I think all but one. But it's done like NC-17 movie that's like has the sex scenes in the right parts. It actually fits the song, the harsh vocals. It makes perfect sense. They come out of Israel, and I almost left them off because they are opening for bands like I'm trying to think of Deep Purple and that when they come around to Israel, but nobody knows them outside of Israel. They got a couple albums. They got a new singer. I can't remember his name now. Is Dolev, I think is his name. And he sings the harsh vocals and the clean vocals. And he replaced two singers. And it's just amazing. These guys, they have a little bit of that sound of their area, right? Of Israel. A little bit there's a Snake Charmer song, for goodness sake. Okay, you know what that's going to sound like. It's from Israel, and it's called Snake Charmer. So, but this album, it's available in America. I'm forgetting the name. What's a progressive rock website that sells a lot of stuff here? We know him personally, and I'm blanking on the name.
I think
Symphonic.
Symphonic. No, it's not. It's not our guy. Not that guy.
Bandwagon.
Nope, not Bandwagon.
Laser's
Edge. Thank you.
Greg Walker. No,
that's Symphonic. Greg's Symphonic. Yeah. It's on Laser's Edge. Why can't I think of his name? Can anybody give him a plug here?
Yeah, Ken Golden.
Ken Golden. Thank you.
Ken Golden.
Yeah, Ken Golden. So I'm sorry, I forgot his name. But it's on. I don't know if he's either distributor or he's the label. Because I contacted him and said, "Oh my God, these guys are opening up for Deep Purple." He's like, "Yeah, it doesn't really help because it only sell around there." But and in dribs and drags. So anyhow, great band. All the kind of prog adjacent metal bands from the 80s, they opened for those guys, in there, and their go-to band. Check it out if you think if you even have a possibility of liking the harsh vocals. if you like Opeth, for sure, check it out. It's really great. It's
Yeah, I found that they were kind of close to. I had their first two.
yeah.
Well, it was an EP and then a full length, and it was on The End Records, which
Okay.
I think that's gone.
Hmm.
It was owned by an Israeli-born guy,
Makes sense.
and he put out a lot of that style of music.
Hmm.
He was full into the metal scene, but he
Right.
liked the progressive and technical edge.
Right.
And yeah, I agree with you about the vocals.
Yeah.
It is just perfectly placed in parts. It's not doesn't overstay its welcome.
Right. Right. If you're listening to the lyrics, it goes along with the drama of that part. It's
Yeah.
not egregious, and because the guy can sing both ways well, there's no reason to. So
Yeah, and some of the like the death vocal.
do
What is my friend Dave Kerman? He calls them the death growl. That's
the
it.
death growl.
Some
Yeah.
of them they switch between even mid songs. They'll switch between the growl and then a clean. vocal.
That's exactly what's happening here. There's never a song that's death vocals or doom vocals or whatever. There's one song that's like double bass pedal and right away, and
Yeah.
then and for 2 minutes struggling. I'm not gonna like this song, and then it resolves, and the next 4 minutes are perfect. They're just beautiful.
Right.
And so I definitely recommend it. If you ever thought that, oh, I wish I could like some of the growling, I don't get it. This is your only chance to like it. Is my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's it.
all right, my next one comes from a group of musicians from Sweden,
Mhm.
and two different bands, and it's Morte Macabre, Symphonic
Oh, yeah.
Orchestra.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
This one, oh my God! I mean, I love that it has they're doing Italian horror movie soundtracks. You know, picking. I forgot which each song comes from, but every time I hear them, I picture that movie.
Mhm.
You know,
Nice.
and it's like, but it kind of takes you away. And then their final song, let's see, Symphonic Holocaust, is just I think it's an original piece, and it's like 16, 17 minutes, and two of the members are from Anecdote, and then the other two are from Landberg, which I think kind of just basically disappeared after the late 90s. I mean,
What was the other band? You didn't say Landmark, right? You said something else.
Landberg.
Landberg.
Landberg. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You've heard
Yeah.
Landberg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that band just disappeared, and their CDs are like out of print, and you find them up on eBay for XX amount of dollars, you know, and it's like, and I really wish that someone would come in and reissue them because they were really good music. I
Mhm.
mean, I saw them live at one of the Prague Fests in Los Angeles, and you know, great Swedish Prague revival band.
Nice.
And like I said, it's also, I listen to this almost every Halloween because it kind of puts me in the mood. It just, I mean, some of these movies are on the, you know, if you watch some Italian movies, especially from the late 70s into the early 80s, they do get a little graphic.
Yeah.
And, the special effects aren't like top notch compared to today's, but subject matter, you know, a lot of them have been on the what they call the video nasties,
Yeah.
and when I saw one of them, I was like going, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I get it.
No, I get it.
But that's my number 4 pick. And on to you, Alex.
All right, now my number 4 pick is Bella Band from Italy. Another fusion band. They did a one-off. This one's a little bit lighter in vein. It's not quite as heavy as some of the other Fusion, um, but I really like it. The tunes are very, I mean, they stick in my head pretty easily. The whole album is really good. Once again, obviously an influence from the Miles Davis at that time period, but a little more on the symphonic side, a little less on the moody side. But again, they're just great players. You know, everyone's playing really well. The back side of the album, which I can't find a copy of, is got this great picture of the bass player going to it.
Oh, cool.
So this one, I'm not too sure how difficult it is to find. It wasn't in the 90s. It might now be difficult. So, okay.
Does
Mark?
anybody have anything playing in the background? Because I'm kind of hearing like a little. Are we all good? Okay, maybe it's me.
No, there might be a vacuum cleaner going on in
Okay,
the
that's
background.
cool. That's fine. So I got this one behind me from Seattle, Washington, of all places, Ghost Town Riot. They're kind of prog, how would kind of next to prog, but they definitely have long songs, and they're I don't know if they would call themselves progressive rock, but I do. And they've been on hiatus for a long time. They had this one great album, and it's kind of like it's a little bit heavy, but not really that heavy. Not heavy like Subterranean Masquerade. And I just think they're a very interesting band. They never left Seattle. They are planning on getting back together, but three members had kids simultaneously, and the whole thing's been shut down. And when I think of Menace and some of every song I like, I had them on. They inspired me to interview them and check them out. And I always ask them annually. I have a little thing in my calendar, say, "Hey, see if Ghost Town Riot's going to be doing anything this year." That's how much I think of these guys. And if you get a chance, check out Ghost Town Riot. For somebody that might like, I'm trying to think of for fans of. I would say, they're just kind of unique. Maybe let me think of like Frank Carlucci or something like that type of thing. Just kind of a fun band, a little bit heavier, just great stuff.
All right, my final of the 5 is a band called Sontag.
Yeah.
And basically what they said is a cross-genre space rock opera. And I noticed that in the more melodic parts, they have like a Pink Floyd sound. And then on the heavier bits, kind of reminds me of Hawkwind. And it's primarily person band with, augmented players, but long songs, a lot of short songs. There's a suite in there, so kind of have that going for. But it's one of these. What I bought it blindly back in 2014 because someone was saying, "Oh, you should get it," and I go, "Okay." I've since learned not to buy things blindly. I have to invest. I have to investigate them to figure out if it's something that I want, and got all these ways online to listen to stuff to make a choice whether you want to buy it or not.
Right, and I find a lot of times people's descriptions do not necessarily match what I would consider it to be.
Yeah, even the band's descriptions of themselves.
Well, a lot of them, the descriptions are done by rock critics. They have like keywords that they have to inject in whatever they talk about, and I mean it could be like very vague at best, on what they're explaining.
Right.
And once in a while they hit it right, but I don't listen to rock critics.
Right.
No.
Did you check out the single that came out in 2018, or because I thought that was great too?
No, I just had this, and I looked on Prog Archives, and that's the only one that they have showing.
Yeah, see if you can find Silver Machine somewhere. Single like.
Okay. That's what I thought because there was one song on there that kind of had that Silver Machine vibe to it.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, but it's really good. You know, if you like basically space rock, you know,
yeah,
this is
exactly.
something for you to check out.
Okay.
All right, Alex.
Okay. My last one is going to be another French band called Zingza.
Mm.
There's a Zool offshoot, but they're definitely fusion. There's no vocals involved. Really good stuff. Not terribly experimental. Definitely right in the middle vein of fusion. This was released in the mid 2000s. And these guys, I got them, I think, from Cuneiform.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Sounds like a band that will come from them.
One other, I wanted to make one other special mention of this album I really like from the early 70s called Arcane.
Mm.
This is,
Oh yes.
these guys were Daniel Dennis before Universe Zero.
Oh yeah, I
Mm.
remember that.
And that's an album that I think every time I put it on, good stuff. So,
All right.
okay, on to Mark.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mark.
yeah. I was just looking up something here. So my last one is, I think Ron knows this band. It's Astura. They have an album called The Room, and it just blew me away when I heard this one. It's like John Williams merged with your favorite metal band. It's perfect. Absolutely great album. It is. It's actually done by a couple people from Lebanon that actually, in their day job, they do make incidental music for movies, and they use that money to make albums. And they made one that wasn't progressive, and they actually kind of wanted to disown it in some ways. But the Ostura album, the Ostura The Room album, is great. And again, they would be playing festivals all over the place, but they're in Lebanon. And I almost didn't put them on the list because they did raise like 11 grand for their third album. I'm like, wow, maybe they're too popular to actually put on the list here. But
Right.
I talked to them about it a couple of months ago, and they told me that a lot of that money is coming from friends and family that are not in Lebanon anymore. They're somewhere else because Lebanon's economy is like shot. It's like they're using Bitcoin because like the banks got frozen and these and items such as that. So they got friends and family that actually aren't into the music donated a lot of money because they wanted something to come out of Lebanon again, you know. So it's a great album. It starts with it's about a panic attack. The woman is, can you see? This girl is having a panic attack, and she's imagining this door, and she's trying to get through this panic attack. And it's done like Arion, where we've got three female singers to play the different things going on in her mind, and there's two great male vocals in here, and actually they started off with her hyperventilating breathing, and she couldn't get the tempo right. She passed out while making the first 15 seconds of this album.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
it's really amazing because she was trying to get they're like faster, slower, and she's breathing and not only that, I mean, the breathing is happening, and then there's a little violin in the opening, and it kind of sounds like, I always imagine like synapses in the neural pathways, you know, going like, you know, like these little truly violins, and it just sets up the whole thing so well. And they actually were able to do it twice with a full orchestra. So I don't know how they pulled that off. I think the government helped them put on this beautiful album in its entirety. And there's one song on there, the ninth track. I can't remember the name of it right now. Maybe Shameless. I can't remember. But it has such an amazing dubstep in there that I was convinced that I would like dubstep now, because this is amazing. This 40-second portion. But I listened to dubstep. I couldn't find anything else they liked. I liked it when it was appropriate for the song. And but these guys are great. I'm hoping that their third album does them well. And keep an eye out for Ostura.
Okay.
How do you spell Ostura?
Ostura.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's it just gets really good reviews. But it's for fans of Arion for sure. It's got the same type of storyline. It's got many singers. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention, they did a cover for a song written by Sting for the final episode of anime. Well, anime might be anime might not be actually what it's called, but it's for a Netflix show, animated Netflix show called Arcana. So, which was a great 10 episode a Netflix show, and if you find it on YouTube, they got a great cover of that song. And I thought that they were gonna. I think they did it as an attempt to be the one selected for that. And I did. I'm going to throw in my honorable mentions as well. And I think maybe Alex did one. Maybe he's got more. But I did want to mention Preacher, and which is a great band. They were going to be playing a festival, but because of COVID, it didn't happen. Festival with Joe Carney from, somebody can help me, maybe Comedy of Errors, I believe, is puts that on, and because of COVID, it never happened, and so they were able to stay on my list. And ZW, which is Mark Zonder from, help me out here, drummer from
Fates Warning.
Fates Warning, among other things. Armored Saint, I believe, as well, and a bunch of others. And
Warlord,
yes, and Gary Warnkamp. So ZW, Zonder Warnkamp. I think they might have changed it for better branding, and that's a great album that they have. And I'll say, and I know Ron knows this one, but nobody knows them because they haven't put out an album yet. It's Odd Leaf. I think everybody should keep an eye out for Odd Leaf and check out their unmastered versions out on YouTube as well. They're another band like Ostir, I think, that will be known. And had we done this 3 years from now, they wouldn't make the list because they'd be too popular.
Yeah, I told them, I said, I predict that in at under 2 years' time, you're going to be wanted at every festival, know, and I could see if in America they'll probably play Ross Fest.
Right. There's not going to be, but maybe Prague Stack. I think it's the only one that's really left in the Prague Day. Those are probably the only two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but for sure. I mean, I tried to sign them on the label, so that's how much I think about those guys.
Right.
But they did the smart thing. They said no because they don't think they need a label, which is probably true. I don't think bands that are doing it full time should have a label. They should be keeping all the money for themselves. So,
exactly.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So if I could just
Rod's got something.
One more mention here. Just one more mention. I really, really like these guys. However, they got 2 albums out. XAAL, Zal from France.
I've seen that cover.
They have 2 albums out. Another one called Second Air Day. But they're a 3-piece: guitars, bass, and drums. And Zool has always got keyboards. But the guitar player plays guitar synth, and there's a little bit of it throughout the albums. It's purely instrumental. It's really, really good.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm done. Sorry for taking extra time.
Oh, please.
Okay, yeah, I got a few honorable mentions. I didn't get to pull them off the shelf. There's an Italian band in the mid-90s. I think they only did 1 album, and I'm going to butcher their name because for some reason they decided to have a German name, and it's Auf Kolerung. And they kind of have like that the album that Alex was talking about, how it had that dark feel to it. There's a little bit of Genesis, there's a little bit of Yes, a little bit of King Crimson in it, just a lot of mixture, but you don't actually hear those. There's some bands that, obviously you hear it. This, I think it's just the spirit of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have can you give me a spelling? I wouldn't mind looking that up. Is it there or not? You don't have it in front of you, that's fine. I didn't mean to do that.
It's way over there.
It's fine.
I almost picked it, but because it was a lot of it was unpronounceable to me,
What's the point?
Then another one, it was a one-off, came in, I think it was 1975, from Sweden, called Mr. Brown. Now, I will not pronunciate any of the song titles or the album title, but It was on that label Trans Substance, out of Sweden, of course. And this is the very like reminds me of Kaipa from the 70s, not the current. Uh, it has a little bit of that Yes flavor to it, but a little, some parts a little bluesy. And that was another one that was sent to me actually by that label, and I looked at it and I'm like going, this has got it looked like it was like it could have been like a garage rock band. But when I played it, I was like going, wow. You know, how do they say never judge a book by its cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my next one I have is a Swiss band called Dawn. Now, they do have a second album out, but these people are very obscure. I mean, very symphonic. They kind of sound the same way in the same vein as that Moth Vellum. Really good stuff. I mean, they do have it, like I said, they do have a second album out, and I didn't know that until I looked on their Bandcamp. And then they got a digital single for an album that was supposed to come out in 2021, but you know that story. So probably 2023 latter part, or maybe in 2024 they'll put out another album. I mean, they're really worth, if you're into the symphonic prog, they're worth checking out.
Cool.
And then my final one, another one for Italy, is Cherry Red.
Oh yeah.
This is the precursor to Goblin.
Yeah. I found the album is really good, but it's quite derivative. They have a song that's Yes, a song that's DLP, a song that's Genesis. Then they have a couple of original tunes.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. That's the one pitfall with some Italian bands, is they tend to fall under that derivative moniker, and where they don't. And I think that's when they became Goblin. That's when they became totally original.
Totally original. I agree. I actually saw a Goblin in LA. They were very good.
Now people sound like Goblin. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's like I first found out about Goblin when I years and years ago when I watched Suspiria on VHS, and so I bought the soundtrack back then, and I had no fucking clue what progressive rock was. I just thought, ooh, this is kind of cool sounding. You know, I had that attitude to everything that that I listened to before. I think it was like 1992, 93 when I look back and I go, oh yeah, okay, these are progressive rock bands, you know, like ELP, Yes, actually I didn't get into Genesis until the 90s, and so but not the 90s stuff, it was the 70s, but yeah, it's so many of these albums that fall under the radar that are so good that, you know, people need to hear about them. Go check out if they have like something on YouTube, or if they have a Bandcamp page, or heaven forbid, go to Spotify. You know, it's like, and I always say this to people: okay, if you're gonna go stream music, if you like what you hear, go and buy either the digital album or the physical album. You know, you got to support these people because they don't have money behind it.
Right.
And there's another thing you should do too, is you should play the song. If you like the song, don't stop it in the middle and go buy it. Actually listen to the whole thing. Because every time you leave in the middle of a song is a downgrade for that band. That song.
And on Spotify, you mean?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I refuse to use Spotify, so.
Yeah. So anyhow, just a little behind the scenes on Spotify algorithms.
Oh yeah, the that's another subject, and I actually I did something like that. I believe it was last year. Um, Talked about physical media versus streaming,
Right.
and I think what it is people that are younger than us tend to use Spotify as their music library instead of actually purchasing a library. Whether it's physical media like what I got behind me, or like
Bandcamp.
with Alex, where he's got it on his devices.
Yeah, like Bandcamp.
You
I have
know,
mine. I have mine on a network attached storage drive.
Exactly. Me too.
so it's like however you have it, you know, you purchased it and it's yours.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for a streaming service to put it up. You just go to your streaming service.
Right. Right.
Right. When you buy on Bandcamp, you can stream it as well.
Oh yeah, that's the plus side, and also too, Amazon does the same thing on some
Yeah.
Yes.
on some stuff.
You can
Yeah.
also pay for Amazon Prime and then get access to all the songs, but I prefer to pay for it.
Oh,
The
yeah.
only trouble I have with Amazon is it's only MP3. You can't get FLAC off there. And I'm also thinking of getting a Cubase subscription because that's high quality streaming.
Nice.
Yeah, however way you play. I mean, because on your devices, I mean, I can't take this with me, so I got to have it on my.
No, but I have my little MP3 player that's like this. It's got a 2
Yeah.
terabyte drive in it.
And I put it on my stuff on here. Actually, I use like you listen to stuff off YouTube or Amazon, whatever I own that I bought from Amazon. It's on there. So
Yeah, and when I went to a headphone show last weekend out in Schaumburg here, and everybody uses Tidal or Cubase.
Nice.
yeah, I heard about those too.
They're
Um,
high quality, so it depends upon what you're listening to them with. If you're listening to it with an iPhone with a pair of earbuds, a pair of buds, don't bother.
Okay. Right.
I have pretty high quality headphones and DACs and all that business. So
Right. Cool. And let me invite the watchers of this in the comments and let us know what we
Yes.
missed. I would love
Oh,
to
yeah.
see that. I will go out of my way to check it out. I've already got a couple of things in my queue now to check out after this conversation.
oh yeah, that's the beauty of doing these things is
and I have a larger list.
Oh yeah, exactly. Nice.
yeah, that's the beauty of doing these kind of roundtable things is like you get to explore what other people talk about. It's like,
Yeah, like all the weird stuff that I listen to.
That's beautiful.
but it's you go down that rabbit hole, because that you'll go if you go to one band, you're going to find 10 other bands that are, and then you're going and just multiplying like a freaking rabbit,
Right. This guy, Yves Le Ferrer,
Yeah.
he's a bass player that played in a couple of sort of fusiony Quebec bands from Quebecois bands. And, there's quite a few of them. And he's played on quite a few bands, and now he's doing his own stuff. And his album is quite good.
Right.
I think he's from Montreal.
Cool.
So, like you say, you go to one band, then there's all the offshoots, and then you look at like Miles Davis, and then you look at
Yeah.
Magma. Magma has lots of stuff.
Right.
Sure.
Oh yeah. So we did a pretty good show, I think. Got some
Yeah.
good titles out there for people to explore if anything sounds interesting.
Right.
Find samples. So go to
You
Bandcamp.
can look on YouTube. YouTube is a good way to get a taste.
Yeah, and if what we say and what you hear match up and you like it, go get it. That's
Definitely.
all I got. That's all I got to say about that. Is,
Right.
Definitely.
words are one thing, but then when you actually hear
Yeah,
it, you know,
it's difficult because what might hit my ear might not hit your ear, and vice versa.
right.
But what might hit your ear might hit my ear too.
Right.
Yeah, it
We all have
happens.
a different taste, I guess.
Well, that's cool. You
That's
know,
progressive rock. It's not made for the masses. So if you want, that's pop. So we're here to tell you about stuff that,
Well, like the title says, this is obscure stuff. So
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
all right.
Big-
My next roundtable is we're gonna be doing the year 1988, and I believe I have that scheduled for August.
Yeah, I think you have that scheduled for August.
Yeah, August 5th, but I can do the 12th if make it a little easier for all the rest of the
August
guys.
5th is my birthday.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll actually be in Gen Con for a gaming convention, I think on the 5th, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so let's schedule it for the 12th.
Okay.
That should be good. And then I definitely won't make the next one because I'll be touring with Unitopia no matter when it is. I'll be like gone for a month and a half.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you taking the time out and joining me and talking about music that we love.
yeah, it's great. I love this episode because I've done over 1,000 shows featuring 1,000 different albums. So this was right in my sweet spot. I was really excited for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, Ron, for hosting this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so I'll talk with you guys soon or later.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Take care.